Well, in Leviticus 13 and 14, we have a series of rules today in our lesson on Thursday, June 27, 2024. I'm glad you're here with us today. Hope you have a power drink or some tea or some coffee. There's some wonderful tea for me. And we're going to read a passage about skin disease. Here it is, Leviticus 13:2 and then 45 and 6. When a person has on the skin of his body a swelling or an eruption or a spot, covers a lot, doesn't it? And it turns into a defiling disease on the skin of his body, he should be brought to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons, the priests. So the priests are functioning here in a kind of like public health inspectors, spiritual health inspectors. And this is a provision that, again, associates physical imperfections with spiritual imperfections, and the idea is that you can spread, uncleanness can spread, and therefore people need to come to the priest, be isolated until they're well, and then be reintegrated into the community. Now, if people had a permanent skin disease, like you would if you had leprosy, listen to the provisions for them. The person who has the defiling disease shall wear torn clothes and let the hair of his head be disheveled. So you never get to even have your hair look decent and your clothes look proper. You shall cover your upper lip, make a little megaphone with your hands. That's what that's describing. And cry out, unclean, unclean. He shall remain unclean as long as he has the disease. He is unclean. He shall live alone. His dwelling shall be outside the camp. Powerful. Terrible. Here we are. Well, these chapters 13 and 14 consider these skin diseases like leprosy and psoriasis, and they even include mildew in homes, the physical sign of something that is growing in a home. And holiness is connected with wholeness, with physical perfection, with wholeness, and imperfection with unholiness. Boy, the penalty is so harsh. Exclusion from the camp. Think about that. Leprous individuals whose maladies are deep and persistent are viewed as a threat, and they have to be isolated. Imagine the psychological impact of that, living alone, outside, not being able to come to worship, to a social gathering. And when you had to move into an area where there are people, you had to allow them to know of your disease and warn them that you were coming. Imagine the psychological impact of that, shouting, unclean, unclean. Telling people to avoid you. The chapter 14 has some rituals. They're not curative, but they're when God has intervened and cured somebody of a disease, how they're integrated back in and how this is recognized by the priests and by the community. And they can function in a new way. These chapters apply to situations where groups based on ethnicity, based on color, based on any criteria that is exterior and physical, create different categories of people and exclude them. And sometimes this is done in some societies via birth. Your birth puts you in a category that limits what you can do socially and how you can interact, what jobs you can have. That's what it means to be an untouchable. It meant to be an untouchable in India for so many centuries, and much of that mentality still remains. I wonder if you've ever experienced social or religious exclusion, where you've been a second-class citizen or a third-class citizen somehow. Let's take a moment and pray. Gracious God, make us sensitive to those who we think don't fit in, those who are outsiders in our culture and who feel unworthy. Help us to include them, to help them to fit in, and to befriend those who are friendless. We ask this in your Son's great name. Amen.